Hello and welcome. My name is Dayhelov, and this is my third place updated Ogdoadic Dino deck profile and in-depth explanation/combo guide. My last few deck profiles have been pretty scatterbrained, so for this one, I hope to go more in-depth and to really explain the purpose of the ratios here, why each individual card is here, and what we aim to actually do with this list. And so this is a combination of Ogdoadic and Dino, and that may seem far out, but there are some inspirations, and in testing I have found some really great synergies. So to begin, we have 2 Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. A lot of people seem to run 2 even in pure Dino, and this is because this monster is very strong, and so you want to see it, and oftentimes this will be very consistent by either searching it and summoning it with its own effect through search with Soling Oviraptor, or summoning it from the deck with Double Evolution Pill. The reason we play 2 is that this deck is capable of surviving the opponent clapping back, and so oftentimes duels will run longer, just a longer number of turns than the average 2 or 3 turns many duels can take, and so you want to have that gas to keep fighting, and Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, having that second, lets you fight. Next, we have 1 Alert the Ogdoadic Dark. With this card, you contribute 1 monster to special summon this card from your graveyard, and your opponent gets to add a monster from their grave to their hand. And if this card is special summoned in a new chain, you can target 2 banished monsters, one being a reptile at least, returning them to the graveyard. So clearly this is very dangerous to play with. You don't want to be giving your opponent back a Nibiru if they Nibiru'd you last turn and you're in range, so you need to know when to summon this with its own effects or with effects we will get into later in the list. But an important thing to consider is that this card can be used to recover our 1 Miscellaneousaurus that we have legal in the TCG. And so this is a very strong option because of that, because that future-proofs our turns, like I said with those grind games. Next, we play 1 Curse the Ogdoadic Light. If this card is in our graveyard, we contribute 1 monster and special summon it, and then your opponent gets to special summon a monster from their graveyard with its effects negated. If this card is special summoned, you can target 1 level 4 or lower Ogdoadic, special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. This is the counterpart to Alert, and so with Curse, the opponent gets a monster to their field, effects negated. This one is purely good for us. It sounds bad, but I promise you it's good. The first subtle reason is that it actually turns off our opponent's evenly matched and infinite impermanence for the start of their turn, if we revive something. So say we were playing and we baited a hand trap, and Ash is now in the grave, and they've brought it back using the Curse we've played. Now they cannot imperm our board on our turn or their turn from the hand, and they cannot enter battle phase to evenly matched while they have that monster on the field. Another plus of this is if we have Ultimate Conductor Tyranno ready to be summoned, they will summon this monster not realizing they are giving us another 1,000 points of damage to hit them with. Next we play the 1 Giant Rex. If this card is banished, special summon this card. The other effects don't matter. He doesn't get banished permanently ever really, so as long as you limit banishing him to once per turn, this card is a fantastic way to keep your board presence up and usually loop into Dolkas. He is also important in getting into our Apollosa combo, which I will explain a little more with this next card. We play 1 Miscellaneousaurus. During the main phase, you can send this card from your hand to the grave. During this main phase, dinosaurs you control are unaffected by your opponent's activated card effects. A second effect, you can banish any number of dinos including this guy, and special summon a dino from your deck with a level equal to the number of banished dinosaurs. Usually it's 1, banishing just itself, to summon our Animadormed Archosaur, which we will get to. This card protects your monsters and lets you set up a link for play completely uninterrupted. Next we have Soul Eating Oviraptor 3. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can either add a dino from your deck to your hand or send it to the graveyard. You can also target a level 4 or lower dino on the field, not yours, any on the field, destroy it, and special summon 1 dino from your graveyard in defense position. This is amazing, clearly for being our searcher, and also for being our main playmaker. Something to note, a combination of any of the 2 following cards results in an Apollosa. Baby Serosaurus Miscellaneousaurus, or Oviraptor Miscellaneousaurus, or Oviraptor Baby Serosaurus. And with the 3 Fossil Dig, you really only need 1 of any of these monsters, plus a Fossil Dig to facilitate this play. We play 1 Zoha Haze of the Abyss. Zoha says, if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard or special summon from the graveyard, you can have your opponent draw a card and you can search an Ogdoadic, and then you both discard a card. If this card is in your graveyard, you can send one card from your hand to the graveyard, add this card to your hand. Zoha is a searchable way to get Alert and Curse out of your hand, since they're big fat bricks outside the graveyard. It also sets up the rank 8 play when sent using Nunu, as Nunu can send a dark monster, but we will explain that when we go to Nunu. What this card is very important for is that hand setup, that hand fixing. It also guarantees a monster every turn, because you can always discard what you drew to grab Zoha back. We play 2 Reptilian Echidna. If you control a dark reptile monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. It is a tuner, but if this card would be used for the summon of a reptile monster, it can be a non-tuner, meaning if you have 2 Echidna, one can be a tuner, one a non-tuner. This card is very strong for being able to be special summoned, and it can set up an extra rank 8 on your board, because you can use it in another level 4 to make Chaos Ruler, use the Chaos Ruler as an Xyz material, detach it, and then resurrect it. And now you have 2 level 8s out of this Coatl setup. We play 2 Naya, the Ogdoadic Remnant. You can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, send 1 Light Reptile from your deck to the graveyard. If this card is summoned, you can add 1 Ogdoadic Spell or Trap from your deck to your hand. Using just this card, you can set up the rank 8 play. By sending Naya, you can send Curse to the graveyard, as it's a light, and as long as you contribute a monster, you contribute a monster on the field to summon Curse. Curse will bring back Naya, and Naya will search out Ogdoadic Water Lily. Water Lily will be activated to send Alert to the graveyard. We will tribute our Naya, and now we have Alert and Curse, 2 level 8s on the field, ready to make a Draglubion or whatever other rank 8 we want. Next, we play 2 Nunu, the Ogdoadic Remnant. You can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, send 1 Dark Reptile from your deck to the graveyard. If you control no monsters, or an Ogdoadic monster, you can special summon this card from the graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field, and you cannot special summon monsters except reptiles while this card is in the monster zone. Using just this card, we can also set up the rank 8 play. We send Nunu from hand to grave, and we send Zoha from deck to grave. We then use Zoha, discard any card from our hand to add Zoha to hand. We normal summon Zoha, and we special summon Nunu from grave because we have an Ogdoadic. We overlay and make the rank 4 to play King of the Feral Imps. We use King of the Feral Imps to search Naya. We send Naya from hand to grave, and we send Curse, and we tribute, and we do the whole Naya combo I explained just a minute ago using our King of the Feral Imps. We run 3 Ash Blossom. This card is very important. This deck needs these defensive tools, and this card hits way more things than it should. If you can afford it, run 3. We have 3 Baby Serosaurus. If this card is destroyed by card effect and sent to the graveyard, special summon 1 level 4 or lower dino from your deck. This is the main card that we use to interact with our Oviraptor and our Miscellaneousaurus. Oviraptor, as stated previously, can pop a monster on the field, and we use that to pop Baby Serosaurus, targeting a new one in the graveyard, and kind of loop that resource. We play 3 because we want to see this as often as possible. We play 2 Animadormed Archosaur. If this card is summoned, you can destroy 1 dinosaur monster in your hand or field except another Archosaur. Then you can search a reptile, a sea serpent, or a winged beast with the same level as that destroyed monster, or 1 evolution pill from your deck. Obviously, the usual combo is to pop a dinosaur with this card and search double evolution pill. What a lot of people don't consider is that you can use this card if you pop a level 4, and it must be a level 4 dinosaur, so either Giant Rex, Mist, or Oviraptor. We can search Naya, and then with Naya, set up the rank 8 play. So if you already have the pill in hand, and you don't have access to Naya, setting up that free rank 8 is really strong. This is also the target we summon off Miscellaneousaurus. We play 3 Snake Rain, discard 1 card, send 4 reptile monsters from your deck to the graveyard. This sets up the Ogdoadic plays really well, because the set you want to get rid of are Nunu, Naya, Curse, and Alert, and that sets up the rank 8 play and puts everything back in your graveyard using Alert's Return from Banished effect. This is also a great way to open your turn because people will Ash Blossom this. This will get hit, and if you can afford to let it, if you have 2 dinos or the Fossil Dig, you want this to eat the negation because your Ogdoadics can get themselves to the graveyard, but your dinos cannot get themselves to the hand. Next, we play 1 Ogdoadic Water Lily, send 1 reptile from your deck to the graveyard, and if you have 5 or more unique reptiles with different names, you can special summon a reptile from the graveyard. This is a Foolish Burial, and sometimes a Foolish Burial Monster Reborn combo. The reason we play 1 is we don't want to see this in our opener because we're not going for that Monster Reborn part. This is to set up the end part of our plays. Like I said, this is for the Naya combo. So the Monster Reborn part isn't important, and we only play 1 because it's searchable. Next, we play 2 Double Evolution Pill. This lets you banish 1 Dino and 1 non-Dino from your hand and or grave to summon a level 7 or higher Dino from your deck or hand, ignoring its summoning conditions. This lets us access our Ultimate Conductor Tyranno from deck. The reason we play 2 of this and Animadormed Archosaur is because if you have only 1 and one of them's already in your hand, it can turn your plays off. So say we have an Animadormed Archosaur in hand, a Double Evolution Pill in hand, and we have Miscellaneousaurus in the graveyard. If we were to banish the Miscellaneousaurus, we would not be able to summon a level 1, we would not be able to summon our Archosaur, or say the Archosaur were still in our deck, and we banish the Mist, we could not search an Evolution Pill, meaning we could not use Archosaur's effect to pop a level 2 as we have no other targets to search with the Archosaur, meaning that's another dead end for our play. So we play 2 of these because they lead to strong grind games and increased consistency. 3 Fossil Dig. It searches level 6 or lower dinos. This card is just strong. 1 Called by the Grave. This protects you from hand traps. 1 Ogdoadic Serpent Strike. This card lets you send a monster from your hand or field to the graveyard and target a reptile in your grave with a different attribute than that monster and special summon the reptile. During the main phase, if a monster is sent to your opponent's graveyard, you can send 1 reptile from your deck to the graveyard. This is a great second search target. If you've already used Water Lily or you already have it in hand and you get to search a card with Naya, this is a great target because this lets you trade monsters for more reptiles, and so it can give you the extra rank you need, another level 8 from your grave by using something like an unneeded baby Serosaurus or any other leftover monsters on your field. By summoning a monster using Ogdoadic Serpent Strike, like Alert or Curse, it also avoids their negative downsides, like Alert's add to hand or Curse's summon to field. So this is a good way to use Alert for the recovery without allowing your opponent to recover at the same time. 3 Infinite Impermanence. This can be used on your opponent's turn or an empty board to negate their monsters, or versus control decks using Floodgates. You can set this in Floodgate columns like Skill Drain, where there can be only 1, and flip this on your turn, turning off those cards in the columns for the turn. 3 Solemn Judgment. This is the newest edition. This is an Omni Negate for half your life. The reason we play this is going first, we set up on our best board 4 monster negates and a Book of Moon on our average dino board, sometimes with another monster negate or with the spell negate using the Ogdoadic combo. Solemn Judgment is here to protect us from things like Raigeki, which, while simple, our board just folds to. We can't handle that kind of back row destruction, and so this is to ward off those threats. Now on to the extra deck. We play 1 Geomathmech Final Sigma. This card is a level 12 synchro and is unaffected by card effects except Mathmech cards while in the extra monster zone. If in the extra monster zone, any battle damage it inflicts to monsters is doubled. This lets us if we're not sure what to do, this lets us use our tuner and a level 8 if we can't make anything else with them to make an unaffected double damage beat stick. So he's just a strong finisher, and in combination with Echidna, can end games dealing 6,000 damage on his own. Next we play Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon. It's a level 8 synchro. If this card is synchro summoned, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck and add a light or dark from them to your hand and send the remaining to the graveyard. You can banish a light and dark from your hand or graveyard, special summon this card from the grave, but banish it when it leaves the field. So this is a level 8 that is effectively a draw 1 when you summon it, and then if you use it as Xyz material, it never actually banishes, as it resets that every time it leaves the graveyard. We run 1 Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, a level 8 synchro. Once per turn, destroy as many special summoned effect monsters on the field as possible with attack less than or equal to this card, other than this card, and burn 500 per for each monster destroyed. This can be used to close out games where it's hard to connect with the opponent's face, or, as I did just this past weekend, to win in time by blowing up your own board when you have to end the duel in the main phase to avoid a draw. Next, Reptilian Melusine, a level 8 synchro that requires a reptile tuner. If this card is synchro summoned using only reptile monsters, it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. Once per chain, when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls and permanently reduce its attack to 0. If this card is sent to the grave by opponent's card effect, you can search a reptile. This is a highly durable monster. It reduces the opponent's monsters to 0, which oftentimes can cripple their end board, because they must either use their negations on this, or suffer a permanently weakened boss monster. Number 97 Draglubion, a rank 8 Xyz monster. Your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. You can detach one material from this card and take 2 numbered dragons from your extra deck and or graveyard, special summon one and attach the other to it. Also, you cannot attack with or summon other monsters for the rest of the turn after using this effect. After is the important part. You make Draglubion, you continue your turn, maybe even enter your battle phase, and you use him after you're done making plays or when you're ready to go for lethal. The monsters you'll summon with him will either be number 38, Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy, a rank 8 monster. Once per turn, when a spell card or effect is activated, you can negate that effect and attach that card to this card as material. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can detach a material from this card, change the attack target to this card, and also if another face-up Xyz monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target one face-up Xyz monster you control, it gains attack equal to one of those destroyed monsters' original attack. This card has so many effects that people do not know about. Most know about the spell negate, many are not ready for the taunt, or for it to buff itself, say Draglubion were to die. The other target, this is usually our going first Draglubion target. If we're going second and we want to go for lethal, we will summon number 100 Numeron Dragon. Once per turn, detach a material and this card gains attack equal to the combined ranks of all Xyz monsters times 1000 until the end of the opponent's turn. When this card is destroyed by a card effect, you can destroy as many monsters on the field as possible. Then, if any player has a spell trap in their graveyard, they set one of them to their field. When an opponent's monster declares an attack while this card is in your graveyard and you have no cards in your hand or field, you can special summon this card. Really, it's the first effect. This, with just Draglubion, is 9,000 attack points, and oftentimes we can go out of our way to make a rank 4 and bring our attack up to 13,000, meaning it can kill the opponent from full by attacking anything below either 1,000 or, if we buffed it even more, 5,000 life points. Next, we play Divine Dragon Knight Felgrand, a rank 8. Once per turn, during either player's turn, you can detach an Xyz material and target a face-up monster in the field. Its effects are negated, but it is unaffected by other card effects. This is clearly a monster negate, but also we can use this to protect our own board from the opponent's effects. This protects itself from removal as well. We have 1 King of the Feral Imps. Once per turn, detach a material, search a reptile from deck to hand. Very strong, but you don't need more than 1. 1 Evolzar Dolka, 2 level 4 Dino monsters. When another monster effect is activated, you can detach a material, negate the activation if you do destroy that. Not once per turn, not once per chain. Dolka is very strong if you cannot go for Apollousa or if you don't need to. Next, we play Apollousa, Bow of the Goddess, who requires 2+ monsters with different names. You can only control 1, and the original attack of this card becomes 800 times the number of link materials used for its summon. Once per chain, when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can reduce this card's attack by 800, and if you do, negate the activation. Apollousa with 4 negates is very difficult to deal with, especially because on our end boards, the usual out to Apollousa is using a few monster effects, baiting the negations, getting her down to about 1600, and then just beating over her with a monster. Cards like Hope Harbinger being able to redirect attacks to itself, or Ultimate Conductor Tyranno being able to flip the opponent's board face down, prevents them from using this natural deterrent to Apollousa. Next, we play Cosmic Slicer Zerol, and while it has effects, we actually play it only to synergize with Reptilian Echidna, so we'll go over her next, but this is a rank 3 reptile only link monster. Reptilian Echidna requires 1 reptile and another monster. If this is summoned, target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, reduce its attack to 0 permanently. During the main phase, if your opponent controls monsters with 0 attack, search reptiles with different names equal to the number of 0 attack monsters your opponent has, but you are locked into reptiles from the extra deck for the rest of this turn. Meaning, If you are in a bad board state and your hand is empty, with Echidna, you can search Reptilian Coatl, use its effect because you have a dark reptile to special summon it, and now you have 3 link materials basically, link 2 here, link 1 material here, and you make Cosmic Slicer 0 for a 2600 beater. This sounds really lame, but sometimes you're just under pressure or floodgates and you just need a beater, as Echidna on her own only has 200 attack points. Next, we have Pentestag. If your linked monster attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. This can be used with Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, so you don't want to use its pop effect for the 1000 per, or if the opponent resurrected a monster with Curse that we can see face up, we can use this to set up Numeron Dragon to beat through something in defense mode, say should it not be able to beat over their attack position monsters. And lastly, we play Linkuriboh, and this is only to link away our Animadormed Archosaur, so we have a non-Dino Engrave in our main Dino play, to give up with our double Evo pill to play the Tyranno from deck. And I'll go over that Dino Combo a little more in depth. So the way it works is any of the 2 starters, but for this example, I'm going to say I have Miscellaneousaurus in hand and Baby Serosaurus in hand. You're going to send Miscellaneousaurus to the graveyard and then use Miscellaneousaurus's effect to banish it and summon Archosaur from the decks. Archosaur will then pop Baby Serosaurus and search double evolution pill. Baby Serosaurus will trigger in the graveyard to summon an Oviraptor from our deck. Our Oviraptor on the field will now search a Baby Serosaurus, who we will now normal summon. We will use Oviraptor's effect to pop the Baby Serosaurus on the field to summon the baby from the graveyard. Baby we just destroyed will trigger, and we will summon Giant Rex from our deck. We will link away the Archosaur into a Linkuriboh, and we will link all 4 of these monsters into Apollousa, Bow of the Goddess. We will then activate Double Evolution Pill, banishing the Linkuriboh and the Giant Rex from the graveyard to summon our Ultimate Conductor Tyranno from deck. Lastly, Giant Rex was just banished and will trigger, summoning it to the field. Now, for 2 cards, we have Apollousa on field with 4 negations, Ultimate Conductor Tyranno ready to Book of Moon the opponent's board, and a Giant Rex ready to be destroyed as fuel for Tyranno's effect. Finally, I will go over the side deck. It's very simple. We lose really heavily to Floodgates, and we're very good against monster effects. They're all going second cards, so we play 3 Lava Golem or Gamma Seal, depending on your tournament metagame. The one in mine tends to play more threats. This lets us tribute 2 monsters. 3 Denko Sekka. While you control no set spells or traps, neither player can set spells or traps, nor activate cards that are set on the field. This is really good going first when you can protect it with something like Ultimate Conductor Tyranno or Hope Harbinger, as they have taunt effectively. They keep your opponent from attacking what you don't want them to attack. 3 Twin Twisters, should we not want to use the normal summon for Denko Sekka. 3 Super Polymerization, to use our opponent's monsters or to fuse their monsters together. And 3 Super Poly targets. I've chosen Mud Dragon of the Swamp, Predaplant Dragostapelia, and Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. If you see a lot of darks, you can also play Predaplant Trifiovertum, but I find that requiring 3 monsters is pretty demanding. This was my updated August deck list for my Ogdoadic Dinos, and I really hope you enjoyed. If you like this list or have any thoughts, please comment down below and stick around with the subscribe. Thanks.